Hey, good morning to everybody. It's Daryl here, aka Artist in Recovery, and as usual, I'm coming to you from my usual morning bike ride, and there's my baby right there. What I noticed this morning is with the fall, the autumn coming, the sun is getting to be more and more of a problem with each video I do sitting here. It's getting to flare out on the screen, so I like this spot. I am definitely a creature of habit now that I'm in recovery. When I do something for 2 or 3 days, I have to keep doing it like exactly at the same time and exactly the same way. You know, I've kind of become a little obsessive compulsive in my recovery because I think things are going so good that I don't want anything to go wrong. So I figure if I just keep everything status quo, I'll be fine. I think that's my theory. All right, today I am talking about Ted Nugent. I really thought, until I looked it up this morning, I wanted to get the date for this I couldn't remember the exact date for the concert. And I thought it was Ted Nugent. And it's Ted Nugent, but it's damn Yankees. And Bad Company opened for them. Bad Company, damn Yankees, with the guy from Styx. I can't remember what his name was. But this video is mostly about Ted Nugent because I met him during this concert. Okay, so it was at the Groton sub base, Connecticut. I'm sure you've all heard of it. The Thames River Pavilion, it was called. It's the only concert I ever saw there. And I had backstage passes. And it was October 1991. I was like 25 years old. Many years, 36 years ago. 34 years ago. Okay, let's get into this. I did not have tickets. You got to remember, there was no cell phones, and computers were just kind of beginning back then. I don't even know if there was like an internet. And my buddy, one of my younger friends, he was probably like, 20, 22 at the time. He was into computers already, and he was a smart guy. And the company he worked for one of the guys from Bad Company got in touch with him. He needed some kind of, I don't know what it was. It was a specific computer part. And he got in touch with my friend's company. So he needed it right away. It was something to do with the tour. And the idea came up to have Bobby, my friend, meet him at a concert because they were coming to Connecticut. So my friend got backstage passes for himself, and it was just me. There was just two of us. Now that I think about it, it was just me and him. So he got 2 backstage passes. So some other friends came with us, but we were the only ones that had the passes. Okay, so we go to the concert, we get there, Steel Rodeo opened up, and then I believe it was Bad Company, and then Damn Yankees. To tell you the truth, I don't know if Damn Yankees closed or opened. You guys could look that up yourselves. I could swear Damn Yankees closed the show, I remember, because I met Nugent after the show. Okay, so we get to the venue, and I have a sticker. It was a backstage pass for Bad Company. And I think it was called Holy Waters or Dark Waters. It had like waves on it. And I had the pass, and me and my friend went to go backstage before the concert starts. And the place is sold out, it's packed. And it's out in the field. That's where this venue is. It wasn't inside. This was an outside concert. And so I go to the perimeter, the security, to go backstage, and the guys are just total dicks. I have an actual backstage pass, me and my buddy, and we explained it to these security guards, and they are just complete asses, and they won't let us go back. They say they need confirmation or some ridiculous thing like that. They needed to get in touch with Bad Company. So they go to get a hold of Bad Company. We call. My friend goes to call the guy from Bad Company, and it turns out they're on a tour of the sub base. They're touring. They're on a submarine right then. It was about 5 or 6. They went out to eat, and they went on a tour of the sub base before the show. So we can't get a hold of the guys from Bad Company. And I'm just getting more and more aggravated. I'm starting to get really pissed off at these security guards, almost to the point of getting thrown out of the whole venue. I remember this was one of the suckiest things I ever heard a security guard say. I had an expensive leather coat, a biker leather, with the short, no collar, real biker leather. Brooks leather. It was $400 back then, so it'd be like $1,000 leather now. And the security guard actually said to me, he says, tell you what, buddy, you give me that jacket, and I'll let you backstage. You know, that just pissed me off, man. Like I said, I almost got to the point, I didn't want to ruin it, but it almost got to the point where I was going to get thrown out of the venue. I ended up befriending a photographer. This guy had cameras like all hanging around his neck, and he's carrying around all his photography stuff. And he couldn't get backstage either, so it wasn't just me and my buddy that they were giving a hard time to. Why? I don't know if it was because of security at the sub base, or they were just dicks, or they were friends of the dick Ted Nugent, or what. And I end up slipping in. I end up slipping backstage with the photog, and I get backstage. And I'm going to stay back there the whole time now because I didn't think I could get back there again, so I just stayed back there. I didn't really see any of the show because the first part of the show I spent standing at the security gate trying to get backstage. And the second half of the show, I was backstage. So I heard the music. Let me tell you something really cool. This is something I saw from backstage. When Damn Yankees were on the stage, at this concert, Ted Nugent had his crossbow, and one of the little things he did during this show is he had a effigy picture of Saddam Hussein. You know, back then that was like Operation Desert Shield or whatever, 1991. So, you know, Saddam was the big bad guy back then. And he has a cutout of Saddam Hussein. And during each show, he gets his big old crossbow and shoots it with the crossbow during the concert. That if you look it up, I'm sure they got video of this somewhere. Here's the wild part of this though. I'm backstage, and I'm thinking they must have had some kind of backstop, but I don't remember seeing one. And I remember seeing the back, because I'm looking at it from behind stage, right? And I see the back of Saddam Hussein. I see the back of the cutout. I didn't even realize it was Saddam Hussein until people told me after. I just saw like a cutout from the back. And I see the arrows come through, boom, boom, through this thing, you know, not right in front of me. It's about, I don't know, it's probably about 20 yards in front of me, you know. So I see the arrows coming through this piece of cardboard I'm seeing it from the backstage view. All right, so they have all the tour buses and campers and trucks in kind of like in a wagon circle, you know. Like I said, it was outside. And so I'm just hanging out in this area. They have all the catering. They have all these tables with food and booze. They actually had one. This is where it gets interesting. They had one table with booze. Okay, so then I was going to hang out, so I wanted to meet Nugent. So I'm hanging out backstage. Well, let me tell you about this part first. So I'm wandering around waiting for the show to end, and I would go underneath the stage, like they had risers that the stage was up on, and you could walk underneath, like, you know, being an outside show. This was all built up. You know, it wasn't there before. They just built it up for the show. So I'm walking underneath the scaffolding under the concert while it's going on. And I go to the front. I see all the people like against the barrier, you know, like screaming and watching the show, and the security guards there. And I come up from behind with my leather jacket, and I had hair like down to here then and everything, you know, mustache, goatee and shit. And people start screaming, hey! They thought I was somebody. They actually thought I was like a real person or something. And they're all screaming, hey, come here, you know. And the security guards are like calming them down because they don't know who I am. And by them telling the people to calm down, it just makes it even more look like I'm somebody special. So that was freaking great. You know, I love that. Okay, so the show's almost over. I go back to the back of the stage to the catering area, and Nugent comes off stage, and he starts screaming. He's over by the bottles on the table, and I'm not hearing everything because he's a little ways away from me. But he's pissed because of the liquor. He's chewing out the Steel Rodeo, the very first local. I think they're a local band. He's giving them hell. He's tearing them a new asshole, you know. And I felt bad for him. I guess it was because he didn't want booze on the tour, and Steel Rodeo was probably just with them for a night or something. So they didn't really, you know, they didn't know the rules or whatever. And Nugent ripped into him. Okay, so I'm walking on scaffolding. Like I said, this was all built up outside. And who was walking the other way on the catwalk but freaking Ted Nugent? I think he was going back to get his stuff off the stage. Actually, I don't know how I remember this, but he was going to get his crossbow. He had his arrows and stuff still after the show closed, and he was going to go get that stuff, the I guess he didn't have a bow and arrow technician, like a guitar technician, so I guess he handled it himself. And I could swear he had the crossbow with him. I hate to say this, because I don't like Ted. I hate Ted Nugent. I hate Donald Trump. And Ted Nugent's a freaking ammo-sexual, a douche, right? That's what I think of him now. But I hate to admit this back then, but I was intimidated by the dude back then. I could have swore he was like 6'5", but I just looked it up this morning, and he's only 6 foot. I'm actually tall. I was actually taller than Ted Nugent, but it didn't feel that way that night on that catwalk. So he comes up, and we have to squeeze by each other because we're on a catwalk. This is messed up, man. And he's chewing gum, and he's like, "How'd you like the show?" And I just mumble. I just remember going, I really, it's embarrassing admitting this, but, I hate to admit this. I was younger, and I didn't have as much confidence. I don't know. I don't know what to blame it on. But in my mind, he looked taller than me in my memory. But he wasn't, apparently. Like I said, I looked it up this morning. I thought he was like 6'5", and he's 3 or 4 inches shorter than me. And that was it. He just kept moving on, chewing his gum, going to get his or it wasn't a crossbow. I don't think it was a crossbow. I think it was a regular bow and arrow. I don't remember. Like I said, I saw it from behind. But in my memory, I could swear he was, because it was intimidating. This guy, Nugent, it was in front of me, and we were so close on the catwalk, we had to squeeze by each other, and he's chewing his gum, and I could swear in my memory he's got a crossbow with him. And I just mumbled, "How'd you like the show?" That was it. And here, check this out. My buddy never got backstage with that computer part. I think he eventually got the computer part to the band member, the Bad Company band member, and the security caught hell because the Bad Company was pissed. The guy from they were pissed when they found out the hard time that the security was giving everybody, especially when they were waiting for this computer part for my buddy, and they couldn't get it because of the damn security guards. So, but that didn't help me that night. So that's the story. I got so many more of these, and they just get better. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. This is Concert Diaries with Daryl. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. You guys have a great Tuesday.